like the WNBA saga, the little run that they had, is now over, as major networks could be pulling segments from the broadcast, and this current CBA agreement is heating up. This is all what the owners wanted.
It seemed like the WNBA was finally stepping into the spotlight. After decades of struggling for recognition, the league was riding a wave of momentum. Ratings were climbing, merchandise was selling out, and mainstream networks were running WNBA. Highlights every night. The dream of a golden era had arrived, at least that's what everyone thought. But then almost overnight it all collapsed. Major sports networks, ESPN, Fox Sports, and others quietly pulled coverage, removing segments, highlights, and pregame shows. It was a media blackout that struck like a thunderclap. For a league that had just begun to gain traction in the mainstream, this sudden retreat was more than a scheduling change. It was a direct hit to its very foundation. And it sparked one critical question. Was this just bad luck or a carefully calculated move? ESPN and Fox aren't in the business of giving sports free publicity. They follow metrics, ratings, and advertising revenue. When they step back, it's a statement, and that statement was brutal. Entire WNBA highlight packages vanished. Talk shows no longer debated players' performances. Primetime slots that had showcased Clark's three-pointers and no-look passes were replaced by reruns and low-interest programming. Advertisers, watching the numbers drop, quietly pulled back as well. Sponsorships dried up, without network exposure. The momentum the WNBA had fought so hard for began evaporating. The timing was particularly cruel. Caitlin Clark, the league's brightest star, was sidelined by injury. Her absence didn't just affect one team, it exposed the league's dependency on a single player to drive ratings and interest. Clark wasn't just a talented player, she was a phenomenon. Her collegiate dominance transitioned seamlessly into professional fame. Every deep-range shot, every fearless press conference, and every record-breaking moment seemed tailor-made to capture national attention. Clark's presence transformed the Indiana Fever into a must-watch team. Her jersey sales soared, merchandise flew off the shelves, and social media buzz around her highlights dominated trends. She was the story every sports network wanted to cover, and then she got injured. Suddenly, the league's most electrifying draw vanished. Ratings that had spiked to record highs plummeted just as quickly. The golden era seemed to vanish overnight, leaving networks, fans, and players scrambling. The networks didn't need time to analyze the situation. The numbers told a harsh truth. The WNBA's recent success wasn't a league-wide phenomenon. It was the Caitlin Clark effect. Games with Clark drew millions of viewers. Games without her struggled to break past a fraction of that audience. Clark had elevated the league, but in doing so, she had inadvertently exposed its greatest vulnerability. The WNBA's resurgence was fragile, built on the shoulders of one player. When she was sidelined, the ratings didn't just dip, they crashed. The Clark effect was real, perhaps dangerously real. Some insiders and analysts began to speculate. Was this collapse merely coincidence, or was it engineered? The collective bargaining agreement, CBA negotiations were approaching. Players planned to demand higher salaries, guaranteed multi-year contracts, better travel accommodations, and a larger share of league revenue. Their leverage came from the unprecedented spike in ratings and visibility driven by Clark's performance. But with Clark injured and network coverage retreating, that leverage evaporated overnight. Owners could point to plunging ratings, empty arenas, and diminishing social media attention as evidence that the market wasn't ready for higher pay. The timing of it all has led some to whisper that this was no accident. By allowing the hype to concentrate entirely on one player, the league and its owners may have engineered the perfect storm to regain control over the CBA negotiations. The CBA negotiations were supposed to mark a turning point for WNBA players. With Clark as their secret weapon, they could push for transformative changes in salaries, contracts, and revenue distribution. Now, that opportunity has been undermined. Without Clark, and with networks retreating, the owners suddenly hold all. The cards! Ratings tanked, and the narrative shifted. The argument for massive pay raises weakened, leaving players negotiating from a position of vulnerability rather than power. Some insiders suggest this collapse may have been anticipated. a calculated move to shrink the pie before splitting it. By allowing the hype around Clark to grow unchecked, the league set itself up for a controlled burst of the bubble, giving management leverage over players when the inevitable crash came. The collapse of coverage affected fans too. Last season, WNBA highlights were leading sports news. Social media trended with every Clark performance. Games became events, with arenas filling to capacity and online platforms buzzing with discussion. Now that energy is gone. Fans struggle to find highlights. Hashtags have vanished from trending lists, and primetime exposure is minimal. Players are frustrated. Many had hoped to prove the league's popularity wasn't just about one star, but Clark's absence has revealed just how fragile the WNBA's ecosystem is. The excitement of the golden era has been replaced by frustration, anger, and uncertainty. The most pressing question is no longer just about Clark, the networks, or ratings. It's about the WNBA itself. If one player can carry an entire league, what does that say about its foundation? Was the rise of women's basketball real, or was it the illusion of a single superstar? Networks didn't hesitate when the first sign of weakness appeared. ESPN and Fox withdrew coverage almost instantly, leaving the league exposed. Without Clark, the audience evaporated. Without coverage, the players' leverage disappeared. And without leverage, the league's future hangs in the balance. Some believe the WNBA can rebuild, creating new stars and establishing a foundation that doesn't depend on a single individual. Others fear the league has returned to the shadows, its newfound relevance collapsing faster than anyone expected. And perhaps the cruelest truth? The entire system, networks, fans, players, and owners, has been reminded that popularity can be fleeting, and a league's fate may hinge on just one extraordinary individual. Caitlin Clark's brilliance exposed both the potential and the fragility of the WNBA. She was its hero, and unintentionally, its single point of failure. For the players, the network's retreat is a harsh reminder. Success in professional sports isn't just about talent. It's about sustainability, consistency, and depth. The golden era may have been real, but it also may have been fleeting. The WNBA now faces a crossroads. Will it rise again, stronger and more resilient? Or will the collapse triggered by Clark's absence define its next chapter? One thing is certain, the Clark effect proved that a single star can carry a league to heights it has never reached. But it also revealed the harshest truth of all. Without that star, the spotlight fades, the momentum disappears, and even a once bright league can feel invisible overnight. Behind closed doors, league owners aren't panicking. They're calculating. Ratings may have dropped, but the boards of ESPN and Fox have already sent a clear signal. The WNBA cannot rely on a single superstar to sustain mainstream attention. Owners are reportedly analyzing the data to identify opportunities. With the media retreat and Clark sidelined, they now hold unprecedented leverage in the upcoming CBA negotiations. Some insiders whisper that they are prepared to resist calls for higher salaries, pointing to the sudden decline in exposure as justification. This strategic positioning may seem ruthless, but in professional sports, leverage often defines outcomes. Owners can wait for the league to stabilize, slowly rebuild fan interest, and negotiate contracts on terms heavily favoring management. In essence, the injury and media exodus may have handed them the perfect moment to assert control. Beyond the WNBA, this saga highlights a bigger unsettling truth for women's professional sports. Even when a league produces a superstar capable of drawing millions of viewers, sustainability is never guaranteed. One player may ignite interest, but without structural depth and consistent promotion, that interest can vanish almost overnight. Caitlin Clark's case is both inspiring and cautionary. She proved that women's basketball can command attention and generate revenue at levels once thought impossible. Yet her absence revealed that the foundation beneath the WNBA is still fragile. Networks, advertisers, and fans alike are quick to move on when the spotlight dims. The broader question emerges. How can women's sports build enduring popularity that doesn't depend on a single star? The WNBA's experience could serve as a blueprint or a warning for leagues worldwide, from professional soccer to women's hockey. The battle for mainstream relevance is ongoing, and the stakes have never been higher. If you found this story shocking, eye-opening, or just can't believe how fragile the WNBA's rise has been, make sure to show some love. Hit that like button to let us know you want more deep dives like this. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications because we post videos every single day uncovering the hidden truths, controversies, and untold stories behind your favorite sports and stars. Join our community, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay ahead of the conversation because the world of sports is always changing and you don't want to miss a single moment.